All right, gang, I am off to the cinema for a late afternoon screening, a highly irregular late afternoon screening on a Tuesday, because I'm finally gonna go see Kubo and the Two Strings. And I have to apologize for anyone that follows me on social media because I accidentally spelt it KOBO, which comes off as Kobo. And that was just a complete brain fart on my part. So it's Kubo and the Two Strings. I don't understand why it's taken me so long to screen this movie. Because I am a huge fan of the studio behind this film. Of course, they were the ones responsible for making Coraline several years ago, and I think Coraline was one of the most impressive animated films of recent memory. And you know, it's funny when people talk about the great works of animation of the last decade, you almost never get films like Coraline brought into the discussion. Bullshit. I personally think stop motion animation in particular is one of the most undervalued cinematic art forms. I mean, there is a reason why I gave 4 stars to stop motion animated films like Wallace and Gromit and The Curse of the Were-Rabbit, as well as most recently the wonderful and totally underrated Shaun the Sheep movie. I appreciate the level of meticulous precision that goes into these movies, and it's so fundamentally different than two-dimensional animation, which is basically extinct now, and even the glossiest, most high-budgeted 3D animation, computer animation from like Disney, Pixar, and so forth. So there's just this real sense of three-dimensionality and a level of tactile realism, if that means anything, in these films that you just can't duplicate in any other type of animated form. So anywho, I'm off to the cinema. I am greatly looking forward to screening this movie, and I will be back with a review. All right, gang, I just got out of Kubo and the Two Strings, and right out of the gate, I'm gonna say this is a stunningly beautiful animated movie, like through and through.
My name is Kubo. I look after my mother mostly. What was father like?
He was just like you, strong and so handsome.
Ugh, mother.
It's so like beautifully told and beautifully performed, and it's a film that's sort of so beautifully steeped in Japanese culture.
Your family is very powerful.
And exploring this sort of otherworldly fantasy narrative that I think sort of has definitive echoes of like The Wizard of Oz, in a sense that it's really about a young person and sort of both a mental and a physical journey towards a desired end goal. And on that journey, he comes in contact with a series of mystical and magical creatures.
Kubo, you must find your father's armor. It's your only chance.
You can make the argument that that's sort of superficial at best, because I mean the films couldn't really fundamentally be any more different, but I do mean that as a sincere compliment. The look of this film it's just so extraordinary, and this is the feature film directorial debut of Travis Knight, and it's as auspicious of a debut of any that I certainly have seen, and every single frame of this film is so lovingly handcrafted.
Impressive. Literally the first time I've ever done it.
Everything down to the hairstyles, the costumes, the bold simplicity of the designs of the characters' faces and their expressions. You know, stop motion animation, like I was alluding to earlier, to me there's such a There's a reality to its unreality. I know that sounds sort of perplexing to say, but it just, everything in the film feels so relatable and so near, and you feel like you can just reach out on the screen and touch it and hold it. And again, that's just a trait that no other type of animated film, in my opinion, shares to the same degree. I mean, you can certainly make the argument that the highest budgeted films in the Disney and DreamWorks canon certainly have definitive artistry on display, and there is a stirring sense of realism in their imagery, but it's a different type of realism with the stop motion animation and Kubo and the 2 strings.
Your magic is growing stronger. You need to learn control. Show off.
And this film cost an ultra low $60 million. Now that may sound like a lot of money, but as far as like contemporary animated films go, most other studio animated films really can go anywhere from 2 to 3 times that amount for their budget. So this was made relatively on the cheap. They certainly didn't cheap out in the voice acting department. I think standouts in the film certainly are Charlize Theron and Matthew McConaughey. Always gotta love the McConaughey. All right, all right. Here comes the story of the hurricane. And Theron has this, Theron? How do you, I've heard multiple pronunciations of her name. Charlize Theron has this very tricky role that I can't really delve into because I think that would engage in spoilers. And there is a lot of wonderful little plot twists in this film involving key characters. But she ostensibly plays a monkey in this film. And again, the animation really does wonders, and it complements her really good and confident voice performance. I just like the way that you see every little nuance of the monkey's hair moving, and they move in little clumps, and you can see the little jerky motions in the animation. I like how that's preserved in the film too.
Kubo! Your village is burned to the ground! Your enemies aren't far behind! We need to go now.
The McConaughey.
Put in a prison cell, but one time you gotta be the champion of the world.
He plays a Beatles samurai. And I think that's a really interesting character. I think he's kind of set up for comic relief. I would say that sometimes the comic relief works, sometimes it doesn't. But he's kind of an infectious personality in the film.
This is a miracle.
I have found the son of my master. Your quest is now my quest too.
And then of course there's the title character himself, Kubo, and I have to apologize because the name of the actor that portrays him is escaping me. Also very strong. Kubo is a very interesting character. He essentially has this guitar that when actually utilized can bring origami to life, and there's this absolutely mesmerizing sequence early in the film where he's telling a story through animated origami that is also through him playing music on his guitar. And it's just sort of, it's so inspiring in so many ways, because you're marveling at the music, and you're marveling at the guitar playing, and you're marveling at how they got all the pieces of origami to function within the frame of the shot. And it's again, I use the term beautiful. It's just so beautifully rendered in so many ways.
If you must blink, do it now. About epic battles, warriors and monsters.
The film has an absolutely bravura opening sequence that is set on an ocean and involves a woman on a raft with a gigantic tidal wave coming towards her, and she stops it by stringing her guitar.
Your mother used her magic to save you and bring me to life.
This movie is so metal, it's not even funny.
Excellent! Excellent!
I mean, again, the movie really is, it's so unlike the usual animated fare that we receive. And you know, a lot of like contemporary animated films, I think they try to be cute and cuddly, and sometimes they try to go for, like, you know, you know, movie-in references and satirical jokes. This film is more interested in simply telling a thoughtfully rendered and well-executed storyline that actually does hit you in the feels on many occasions, and it's really about eliciting emotions from the audience. And I mean, the film is surprisingly dramatic, it's very touching at times, and it doesn't fall victim to a lot of the conventions and the cliches of the animated film genre. It really segregates itself apart from a very crowded pack, and I was just really fundamentally blown away by it on so many levels. And again, it's just yet another incredibly well realized example of how powerful this particular type of animation can be when harnessed in just the right capacity. By the time the film culminates in this terrifically satisfying and fairly uplifting manner.
Claim your birthright, Kubo. Give this story a happy ending.
You kind of walk out of the theater with a big smile on your face, and I think this is probably the best animated film I've seen this year, and I think it's a front runner for the best animated film Oscar next year. It's such a crying shame that this film only made, what was it, $11 million this weekend, and it probably doesn't have very much hope of making back its budget. But I'm begging anyone that's watching this video to take your families and seek this film out. I'll be very careful in my recommendation because there are some genuinely terrifying moments in this film. It may be hard for really young children to stomach, but nevertheless, it's a gloriously rendered escapist fantasy entertainment that really works on all of its intended levels, and it definitely should be seen. So there you have it. There's my review of Kubo and the Two Strings. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of the film. Also, let me know in the comments what some of your favorite stop-motion animation works are. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you could like it, that would be awesome. If you could also subscribe to my channel, that would mean the world to me. Thanks again, everyone, and I'll see you at the movies.
Don't mess with the monkey.